Hello YouTube, welcome to the channel, Anna Bella, and today I'm going to be reviewing Captain Marvel. Beware spoilers. Okay, the first thing I'm going to address is the huge elephant in the room. Is simply this: is Captain Marvel a feminist film? And we have our handy guide to help us. Okay, it's the Bechdel test, and it's for gender inequality for a film, and you need three things. One, you need two women characters in the film, okay? So how many female characters did we have? We had Captain Marvel, her friend, and the scientist woman. So that gives us a total of 3 women, and there was another woman on her team, so that's about 4, and there was a little girl, so I'm getting about 5. So far we have passed the first thing, because there's more than 2 women. Okay, next thing, 2 women talk together. Okay, so we had Captain Marvel talking to the scientist woman. We had Captain Marvel talking to her friend. So far so good. So we've got lots of women and they're having conversations with each other. The third point is very intriguing. They have to talk about a topic that is not a man. So for instance, it cannot be Captain Marvel and her best friend talking about guys. No, that is not allowed. That is fail on gender equality. And weirdly enough, Captain Marvel and her black best friend, who happens to be a black African American, let's go there, did have many conversations, and they were not about men. So far Captain Marvel has passed as a gender equal film. But second, I would like to point out, it actually goes beyond this. Goes well beyond 2 women talking about Captain Marvel's memories and her old job as an RAF pilot. Oh no, it goes well beyond this. It actually simply states, you have a scene. You have Nicholas Joseph Fury and Captain Marvel doing the washing up together. This is a huge step forward for gender equality in films. Somebody was washing the plates and putting them on the drying rack, and somebody else was drying them. I believe it was Nick Fury doing the drying and Captain Marvel doing the washing up. So we actually have household chores with a shared division of labour after eating food, people. These are huge events. Okay, you're all looking at me like, what on earth does this have to do with the DCMU and Thor and Thanos and Captain America and everything to do with Marvel, Hulk and X-Men, and so on and so on and so forth? Because Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be heavily based with our friend here, Captain Marvel, and I'm going to be reviewing the film now. Okay, so now we've got the gender equality stuff out of the way, because the film does meet it, and yes, I would say it is a feminist film, and I will be coming back to that at the end of my summary. First, overall, the film does have a good story, but, and I really must stress this, it is hindered by how it is constructed, and it's purely down to the fact that Captain Marvel's brain is interfered by the Great Intelligence, so her memories are all mushed. So we struggle to find out how she got to be where she is in that alien race that she's working with. We struggle with that, and she's always being told to use her head, not her emotions, which, as we know from Harley Quinn, it's actually her love that makes her a stronger character, and it's the same with Wonder Woman. It's the fact that they use their feelings to help people. Harley Quinn uses her feelings to help the Joker, but that's a whole different kettle of fish, and I'm not going there. But it's what makes them stronger as people. Captain Marvel is being told by a man that she's got to use her brain and not her emotions, and she'll be fine, which is why we get the blank look. And it's why the film does come off at times as bland. And I know, that is such a bad thing, because the film is beautifully done. It really is. Nick Fury is wonderful. You actually see his development in the 1980s, 1990s. It's wonderful. There's a whole blockbuster thing going on. There's a whole music stuff. I heard some Nirvana. My ears pricked up. I was like, woo! We had some really good soundtrack, people. Really good. We had that lovely Goose, who happens to be Goose. That happens to be a ginger cat / something else. It's all awesome. We find out about how somebody lost their eye. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. There are loads of little Easter egg moments. And because this movie is so crucial to what we all are waiting for in April, people, it is coming. Endgame is coming. So we really need Captain Marvel to have a good movie. And she does have a good movie. It's a brilliant movie. I enjoyed it, but it does come across as bland. And that's because her backstory is so confusing. It's choppy and choppy and choppy and working it all out. You know, you need like, I don't know, concentration and like a jigsaw puzzle to piece it all together. But it's how they do it, and it does come off a bit bland. And there's nothing wrong with Captain Marvel because she would be bland. She would be emotionless block. But it's really difficult for an audience to actually get into a woman that is a block, because we're used to seeing very passionate women, and Captain Marvel has been told not to be passionate. So it's very, very difficult to see where we're all going to go with this and how it's all going to work out. But it does, and it does work, and family is a huge thing in this. I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the development of all the characters. It worked really well. Her best friend, the little girl, it all worked together, and it actually did have a great heart and great emotion within the film. But it was tempered. And I believe they're tempering it for a reason, because obviously we've got Endgame and that is all going to happen. So, she gets her memories back in the most long drawn out process ever known to man, but it happens. And then she basically becomes Captain Marvel, and she gets her new skin tone. By that I mean her new costume skin for her suit, which is awesome because she can fly in space. And we also find out how she got her powers, how she basically absorbed this engine, which means that she can basically, she's really strong. At the moment, there's some kind of like debate whether she's as strong as Thor, and apparently, officially, her and Thor are the same strength level, and possibly Wonder Woman. I know Wonder Woman's a DC character, people. I'm going to get to that. So basically they're the same, but I am including Wonder Woman in this because Thor is from Norse mythology, Wonder Woman is from Greek mythology, being a demigod and daughter of Zeus. I don't care if they told her that she was made out of clay and Zeus brought it to life. I really don't care at this point. We all know what happened. Hippolyta and Zeus got it on, and Diana was the result. I think that's fairly obvious. Yeah, it's Zeus, people. All he does is have demigod children. Anyway, moving on from Diana, but I think that's important. And there's this whole debate on whether Captain Marvel would be allowed to like lift Thor's hammer. And I'm like, of course she would be able to lift Thor's hammer. Did you see what Thor's own sister did to the hammer? She trashed it. She literally got it and it collapsed. And that was his sister. I am pretty sure Captain Marvel will be able to lift Thor's hammer, but is that relevant to the film review? No, it's not. So anyway, overall, I'd give the fight scenes, they were good, though they were clearly pulled back for the 12A rating, but it was a bit bland. It did have this bland thing going on, and I don't know what it was. I mean, how Jude Law could end up being charmless, I don't know, but he somehow managed it. I think it was to do with the alien culture that they were in and this great intelligence. I want to know more about their intelligence, what it is, and who's running it, because they're bad. They are so bad. Because they created these very emotional people, but they like put like blockers on them, so they were just literally like blank slates. It was so sad, and you could clearly tell that the Jude Law character really fancied Captain Marvel because he gave her its blood. Anyway, but I don't think that was allowed in their culture. I'm not quite sure. It was all a bit bland. But having said that, once she got to Earth and she got her memories back and it stopped being a bland fest, things clicked, and her relationship with Nick Fury was so brilliant because they were equals. He recognised that she was a rogue soldier, and she recognised that he was the same, and they just worked together. It's going to be awesome in Endgame. It really is. So we were talking about her powers. So she's uber strong. She's got some like jet thrusting going on to be able to fly. She also can like use them like to blast things, but it's like a blaster. It's not a laser. It's definitely sort of a blaster because it lifts people up in the air. So it's blasting. It's not lasering people. That's not what she can do. I don't know whether she's got laser eyes like Superman. We'll have to investigate the eye thing. I don't think she can do that. She can breathe in space, but I think that's down to a suit rather than her. So it's a suit that basically helps her with the whole oxygen exchange with the CO2 and blah, blah, blah. But how can she get oxygen and CO2 in space. Space is a vacuum. Anyway, moving on. Let's not go down that route. So she's got like jet thrusters so she can fly. She's got blasters so she can blast things. I'm not quite sure why she glows, but she does. But she has, to put it bluntly, she's basically absorbed a core, like this engine core. She's absorbed it, and that's all her power is, like, from this core. So I'm not quite sure what other powers we're going to get. Can she walk through walls? There's some debate over that. There's basically loads of debates, but we know that she can run and leap and basically anything. All her agility, her athleticism, her gymnastic ability, and all of this has been enhanced because she's basically got a nuclear fusion engine inside her, basically. So she's really fast as well. She kind of like reminds me of the Flash merged with Wonder Woman, only without the truth lasso and a sword and a shield, because she doesn't need that because she's got the whole blasting thing in her arm. But she doesn't have to like flick bullets away like Wonder Woman. She just sort of blasts. So yeah, each to their own. So that's basically her power set. She's one of the most powerful Marvel superheroes, or superwoman, I'm not quite sure. Super person, does that sound right? We could be here for hours debating what gender equality language to use. But I was really, really pleased with the scene, with the washing up scene. Never mind the Bechdel test, we're way beyond that. Marvel has just ascended to whole other levels of gender equality, and I'm going to speak about something that should have been mentioned. Okay, everybody should be familiar with the show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Buffy the Vampire Slayer promoted gender equality in one simple way, and it was really, really simple. It was giving women characters the lines that backed up that they were powerful. So it actually allowed them to speak, and it allowed them to act. So Buffy's a slayer, she kills the vampires, and then she quibs about it. Willow's a witch, she speaks, she's allowed to speak. There is like an older male authority there who speaks, but he allows others to take turns. Voila. Basic premise. Brilliant stuff. But there's a really, really interesting speech that she gives towards the end. And towards the end of Captain Marvel, it was very, very interesting. All the way through the film, you see Captain Marvel falling over. She fell over when she was jumping from rope to rope to rope, and loads of people saying she wasn't going to do it, and they were all guys. She got told off for joining the go-kart race, and it's like, you shouldn't have been out there, it's bad. She fell over when she was playing baseball, and before she was about to hit the ball, and people were like, oh, she shouldn't be playing, blah, 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 and stuff. And this was basically summing up all of the 1980s, 1970s and 1990s sexism towards women in a very, very short and effective way. But actually, the bit with the baseball bat where she got back up and hit it reminded me of the final of Buffy, where Buffy does "You Have a Choice" speech, where every girl in the world is going to get the Slayer power. Every girl in the world who can stand up will stand up, and you have that girl who's being abused stand up to her abuser and like say no, and you have that girl who's about to swing the bat and she's looking directly at the camera and she's playing baseball. That Captain Marvel got that from Buffy. And where did the DCU get that from? Joss Whedon. Yeah. So it's brilliant to see this on the full screen, on the big screen, on the silver screen, because films, you know, and there has been some trolls by slightly older men apparently about this. It's doing really well box office wise, so it's not going to be a problem. So I was pleased. There were loads of really good things in it, and what I absolutely adored was the end. The absolute end premise, where she gets Jude Law's character, and Jude Law's character's like, no, you've got to fight me, but you can fight me, but don't use your powers. Which is totally pointless. It's like, why on earth would somebody who hasn't got her powers want somebody else to beat them on an equal field when they know that they're going to get beat? with those powers. And it's like, no, we don't have to do that. She doesn't have to not use her powers to beat him. We know she's going to beat him. She doesn't have to. It's like, this is just so stupid. She's got nothing to prove to him. It just is. Just stop acting like an idiot and accept you've lost and fly back to the great intelligence and tell them all about it. And then she'll come and she'll sort it all out. I know some people have got like huge issues with like apparently the arrogance of Captain Marvel of stopping a war, but not with like violence. And they're saying she's blowing up ships. She's not blowing up ships. She is blowing up the equivalent to nuclear bombs that are falling down and are going to damage the Earth. So she's blowing the bombs up. She's not blowing up any people. Admittedly, there might have been some slight big ships that got blown up. But, I mean, if you're going to drop nuclear bombs on Earth, it's a risk you're going to take. You know, it's fair. And to be absolutely fair to those guys, they did back off and go back and regroup and rethink their, like, stuff. And rechange their focus because they actually want to capture Captain Marvel now because she's now classed as a weapon. So, sorry to spoil everything. Well, I actually haven't because I haven't mentioned, like, the main points. It was lovely to see Blockbuster again. I have missed renting videos. I did love the loading and downloading use of early 1990s internet that had flashbacks to bing, 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 using dial-up and bing, bing, buzz, half an hour later, it's finally on and you can, you know, go and ask your question for your homework and print off the answer. Woohoo! It only took me like 2.5 hours, but I managed it. Woo! 1980s, 1990s internet, 1980s internet. They didn't have any internet. They only had Game Boy. What it is to be alive. Anyway, that brought a whole load of memories back. I really, really miss tapes. In fact, I really want a Walkman. Anyway, moving on from my nostalgic missing of tapes and videos, there is a, you know, there is a lack of tape everywhere. The film is good. Out of 5, I would give it a 4. And yes, one of the reasons is it's bland. Some of the fighting scenes are a bit annoying. The soundtrack is brilliant, but you only get the soundtrack once she's got like all of her memories back, like that click into place. So you only really experience that when she's sort of like remembering who she is and she's no longer this blank, emotionless blob, and she starts to have emotions and she gets a bit passionate. Not that you shouldn't be passionate, because I mean, passion can be useful, but too much passion is bad. But even Jesus Christ, he had a passion, and look how that turned out for him. So who knows? It's really quite important, I think, with Captain Marvel going forward, because she's a hugely important character. She's basically going to save us all from Thanos, in short, in Endgame. And Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is based on her leading the way, because obviously I think Captain America, his contract is up. Iron Man and possibly Thor, their contracts are up, and I don't know whether they're renewing, so we're going to be taking in a whole different direction, possibly with the Guardians of the Galaxy, like going out there and solving some of the mess that is on. So Marvel is going to go to space, people, in Phase 4, which I'm really looking forward to. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I love the development of Nick Fury's character. I loved how we saw him change and grow and go, whoa. It did kind of remind me of Men in Black a bit, like with the cat and the box, yeah, and things like that. I did have kind of Men in Black things, and also a bit Matrixy at times. And what is it about agents and grey-suited agents? I mean, even Harry Potter, you know, The Crimes of Grindelwald has got flipping ministry agents running around. It's all gone a bit sort of like, oh, we're all going to be the Matrix, but we're going to do it with magic. Oh, we're going to do the Matrix, but this time we're going to have superheroes on the side as a side salad. Really? We're all gone potty. It's like, we want to do the Matrix, but just like Neo and Trinity. And I'm just like, guys, we don't need to redo the Matrix. We can just watch the original Matrix trilogy over and over again and be perfectly happy with that. So I don't know what's crackling off. I did enjoy the development of S.H.I.E.L.D. and seeing Nick Fury take his place as like the director and the development of the Avengers team. So I think that's going to be cool. And it's really nice how you've got the beginning before the end. So the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Oh, the joys of biblicalness, the Alpha and Omega, blah, blah, blah. So that's quite satisfying. But that's only because I read books that is satisfying. Overall, I do appreciate why some people are sort of like, how is she gonna save us? I'm very confused. And of course you should be feeling confused because we've not seen Endgame yet, people. Loads of stuff is gonna happen in Endgame. I'm expecting Endgame to be like those afternoon epics that would literally take up the whole of your afternoon and may or may not have an interval. If Endgame does not have an interval, they ain't made it right, because I'm expecting at least 2.5 movie. I'm gonna need a toilet break. Mostly because I drink too much juice, but that's just life. But yeah, that's where we effectively are. So we've had Captain Marvel in March. In April, we're having Endgame, and it's actually really difficult to do a Captain Marvel origin film review as a bubble, because it's not a bubble, because I know it's so closely linked in to what is happening, because you do get that end credit scene. I'm not going to mention any more. You do get that end credit scene that links it to the Endgame and to the Avengers, because Nick Fury's in it. What am I saying? It's already linked. She is the genesis, the beginning, which is kind of weird, because wasn't Captain America meant to be the first Avenger? Yeah, but that was in World War II, and this is like in the 90s, so timeline order. But yeah, so it's really difficult. As an origin story, I cannot just take Captain Marvel out and go, origin story, yes, very interesting, because she's so closely tied to the Avengers Thanos story, or basically how we got a load of gloves on a stone, or basically the stone and the 6 gloves, or oh no, it's the other way around, the glove with 6 stones, or however many they were, storyline. And then also with Phase 4, with her own like trilogy of Captain Marvel films, they are not going to be separate from the Avengers storyline, because those characters are going to come in. So it's not, I can't review it like I did Black Panther as an origin thing, and then go, oh look, the Avengers at the end turned up and it was all great, and he met some at the United Nations briefly before leaving. And it's like, it's not going to be like that. It's like a door hinge from the past to the future. It's a door hinge movie, people. As an origin story, yes, it was good, if a little bland, but that's down to the fact that the poor woman did have amnesia about how she got to be where she was. So there is that. Overall, I'd give it 4 out of 5. It had a great soundtrack, had some great fight scenes. They were toned down a bit, but I did like the fight on the train with the grandma. That was cool. And of course, we have to mention Stan Lee. It was so good. They had a tribute to him at the beginning, and obviously we had one of his last Stan Lee cameos within this film. So overall, I think it was huge respect to Stan Lee. It's a great movie, but for people who are just joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're going to struggle, because they're just going to be like, why are all these end credit scenes and how does this fit in? And please be aware that we've had 10 years. 10 years! No, it's taken 10 years to get Thanos to do something. We've had 10 years of build-up to Endgame. So Endgame is hugely matters hugely. And then you've got Captain Marvel. It's a door hinge movie. So she's leading us from the past to the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think the future's going to be sweet. So overall, I'm going to give this movie a 4. Please like, comment and subscribe. If you troll me about feminism or gender equality, I'm just going to say this now. There are 50% people on this planet that are women. There are 50% that are blokes. And then there's intersex, which make up 10%. But they can also choose whether they're male or female, or they could just go the intersex route. We're not even going to go down there, because this is what it is. So if you start bugging me about gender equality, I'm just going to refer you to the Nick Fury and Captain Marvel washing up scene. Somebody washes up, the other gender dries. It's that simple. Welcome to modern life, people. Peace out. I hope you have a great day. And check out Captain Marvel. And I apologise if you think I have spoiled this movie. But if you think that, go stroke goose and see how your eyes are. Bye! Oh, and before I go, I just want to say something. Yes, Captain Marvel does look like Wonder Woman. She's supposed to. They're actually rivals. Hence why you get the whole Wonder Woman feel with the red, the blue and the gold going on. Just so you know, please like, comment and subscribe. And I hope you've enjoyed my video. Bye! Don't be a troll.